You're listening to the Sound Creator Podcast, the show that brings you deep diving analysis and conversations covering my world of field recordings, sound design, and sound effects. I'm Cedric Black, your host. Thank you for being you. Thank you for showing up. And most of all, thank you for listening. Welcome to the show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Sound Creator Podcast. I'm really excited about this particular podcast because I know what's in store. Just like every other episode that I bring you each week, this podcast is an extension of the videos that I post. I create videos that's based around some of the sound design and sound effects that I create. And this podcast is an extension of those videos. And in each of the episodes, I talk about the small story that's connected to each sound, just a little background of the sound. I want to bring each of you, each of the listeners, just a different view of what's going on with the sound. And hopefully that when you hear it, you take away something from either that sound that I created, or the sound that was created, or like myself, it helps me listen to sounds in a different way. My days always start a little early. Most of the time they start at 4 a.m. in the morning, if not sooner. Sometimes my body tells me that I need to sleep in a little longer. And when it speaks to me, I listen because I know that I will push it. But when my body says, hey, you need some rest, I need you to lay down a little bit longer, I listen and try to, I do try to get as much rest as I can. But my days usually start a little early, and I'm pretty structured with that. I have a daily routine that I follow each day. But my days always start with sound. My days start with sound because the first sound that I hear when I wake up is a sound. I wake up to an alarm clock. So that's the first sound that I hear. It may not be the sound that I want to hear every day, but it's the sound that I hear when I wake up. And that's the first sound that starts my brain and my ears to work together to begin processing sounds throughout my day. As I start moving, as I get moving, I usually, I make my way to the bathroom to brush my teeth. So there's a sound of the toothbrush, and there's a sound of water that's running, and all the sounds that's associated with that. Even in the bathroom, there's a distinct echoey sound in the bathroom. That's more of a reverb type sound. Those of you that may be familiar with reverb, but that's a different tone that's in the bathroom. So my ears are constantly, they're constantly working to distinguish each sound from the next sound, and to process the sounds that are coming from my surroundings. So I'm constantly surrounded by sounds, as you are as well. All of us are surrounded by sound. So my day starts with sound, and throughout the day, more sounds increase. As I move from room to room, the tone of the room is different in each room. The sounds that I hear, just even making it to the next room, is different, because I may hear cars passing by outside, or I might hear kids outside playing, and often I hear airplanes flying by. And just when I think it's quiet, that there may be no more sounds, I'll often hear the neighbor's dog barking. Or when I think that's really it, I think that that's it for the moment. There's no more sounds that's going to come, and there's going to be absolute quiet, because I'm always looking for, okay, when is it going to be absolute quiet? It never is, because when all those things are out of the way that I just mentioned, then my heating and air conditioning unit kicks in. And so that starts. So, and that's another sound. So I'm always hearing sound throughout the day. And so, which makes sense that, why I love sound so much. I mean, a lot of people may not feel that way. When they hear sounds, they may get irritated by so many sounds constantly, or the fact that we've heard sounds or we hear sounds so much throughout the day in our lives that we don't even pay attention anymore. Is we usually block out sounds that may be too loud or irritating, or we just we get so used to it, we just don't even think about it because it's just part of our lives now. But the sounds that I work on, or the sounds that I create, the sound design. I mean, there's a process involved, and I take something raw. Sometimes I'll enhance it a specific way with microphones, or I'll use special processing. These are called tricks of the trade. I don't mind sharing, but which is why I'm sharing the videos in the process of the sound design and as well as the sound effects. Someone asked me before, what's the difference between sound design and sound effects? Well, it's a good question, and I think I have a personal answer for that. Sound design is, I think it's exactly that. It's designing sound. It's taking some form of sound to manipulate it in such a way that it creates a whole new sound. I mean, it's much like having a lump of clay in your hand and molding it a specific way. It may start out as a lump of clay, but as you mold it, it becomes something different. It becomes something that you create. It's a whole new creation. That's what sound design is. It's taking a sound or multiple sounds and molding it in such a way that it creates something totally brand new. And sound effects are basically parts of the sound design. They're elements of the sound design that serve a purpose. And there's probably a better explanation of that, but I'm just giving you my personal explanation. They serve a specific purpose, and they serve a specific purpose, and they are elements of sound design. So think of them as children of a parent. The sound design is the parent, and the sound effects are children. And all of them, both elements, sound design and sound effects, are used in media, movies, videos, anything that requires sound, because we hear them. If you just think about, I'll make this one quick statement before I move on into the sound that I'm going to talk about. When you watch a movie and you hear the door slam or a dog barking or a person walking across the floor, that sound has been created by someone such as myself. That's sound design. And when you hear water dripping in a movie, in a bathroom, that's sound design, that's sound effect. It's all the same. That's been created by someone such as myself. So this is what you're seeing in the videos, and then this is what you'll be hearing throughout the podcast each week. At this point of the show is where I play the sound from one of the videos and give you a little background about what the sound is. So this is another unique sound. I'm excited about this one because I know exactly what it is, but it's really I'm really excited, and I can't wait to talk to you about it and tell you what it is and why I came up with this concept. If you're wearing headphones, turn it up a little bit, but you shouldn't need to, but hopefully you can hear it very well. So that was interesting, to say the least. I personally, that's one of my favorites because it is actually a ukulele. Aside from the cinematic music that's playing underneath it, that's just music that just to give it more of a movie effect, more of a cinema effect to the sound. But it's a small ukulele that I used, and I'm playing it, but not in a traditional sense that someone plays a ukulele. I actually use a fishing rod spinner to play the notes. So if you're able to, maybe you can rewind the podcast back to hear it again, or go check out the video. You will see that I'm spinning it with my fingers, and I have a couple of tassels attached to the rod. So as it spins, it's stroking the ukulele strings as well. So that's what's playing. So I was able to also capture the cranking, the small cranking noise, and the vibration of the ukulele as both of them play together. So you hear the cranking, but you also hear the wooden part of the ukulele, the body part. So as each stroke vibrates, it also brings out the vibration of the body of the ukulele. To me, that's the most unique part, because that's the sound that's in between. I mean, you hear the strings. So when you see the ukulele, most of the time you see an instrument, you focus on the, if it's a guitar or a ukulele, you focus on the strings that are being played. But with this particular sound design, me personally, I felt more connected to the in-betweens of those sounds. I don't know if that makes sense, but the in-betweens are the vibrations that come from the fishing wheel as it spins, that cranking in, and also the body of the ukulele, because that's just a unique sound, because I can hear the body. I can hear the vibration of the body. Most of the time we think about vibration, we feel it, as something bassy, or if a car passes by when we're at a stoplight, if they're playing loud bassy music, we really don't hear the bass, but we feel it. So, when I'm listening to that sound, I can feel the vibration. I can hear the sound, but I can feel the vibration. Maybe it's not as deep as you can in a car, but I can feel the vibration of that, the body of the ukuleles. And I had my small ukulele out, and I was looking at it once, and so I'm always looking at ways to, to record something. I look at everything and I say, okay, how can I capture a sound on this that's unique? I can pluck the strings, and that's just typical. But so I look at it, I observe, and I say, okay, how can I play this in such a way that's unique? And so the fishing rod, I was at a friend's house once, and he had a bunch of old fishing equipment, and he had this broken fishing rod, and I saw the reel laying there, and I was just playing around with it, twisting, and then the idea just popped in my head. Hey, I can use this for something, because I'm just envisioning a tassel attached to it, and I'm spinning it. And so when I get back home, and I'm spinning it, and I'm looking at it, and then so all of a sudden I look over at the ukulele, and I said, idea, let's give this a shot. And that's where this sound came from. That's the story behind it. That's the short story behind it. But it's also one of my favorites, because there's just such a unique way of playing an instrument. I definitely plan to do more of those, something similar. I mean, there's another one that I did. I used my bass guitar, and that may be the next episode. I'm not sure, but it's definitely going to be in a future episode where I'm showing you the sound effects and sound design that I use with my bass guitar. Hopefully you enjoyed today, and I thank you all for showing up, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @saidblack, or via my website at cedricblack.com. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.